This is Abe Friedtanzer from Ward's Buzz. Very excited to be speaking with Adam DeVine about the righteous gemstones. How are you, Adam?
What's up, Abe? Nice to talk to you, man.
You too. We spoke actually about 2.5 years ago. I was just listening to it for, it was only 5 minutes, but we talked about a remarkable amount for this little show, Pitch Perfect Bumper in Berlin,
Oh
which
yeah.
was
hmm
right before the renewal that then was undone. So you were still like flying high,
I was
very excited
flying
about all
high. I was like, I'm riding bumper all the way to the bank, baby. And then they pulled the rug out from under me. But it was a fun show. I had a blast doing it, but it's
that.
done.
That was
I think that
in
might be
like
the
that's
last you'll see of bumper. Who knows?
but it was within the existence of this show, right? Like this show had already aired and started by that point. I
Yes,
was
yes,
like,
yes, yes. I was doing two shows at once, which uh also bumper, it seems like this cute little show, but it's an incredible amount of work because you shoot for 12 hours a day. We were shooting in Berlin, and then afterwards I'd have to go do choreography and learn songs, and so it was 6 days, 6 day weeks, and my wife was like, "Why am I here? Why am I in Berlin with you? I never get to see you. I'm just eating mashed potatoes alone in a hotel room, eating bratwurst."
well, I would also describe the Righteous Gemstones as a cute little show. I think that's really the marketing that would make this one reach the right audience. Um, it is one of the wildest, craziest shows I've ever seen. Is
Yeah.
it the journey that you've been on? What you expected for this character based on hearing about the show originally?
I didn't know. I don't even know if Danny knew with like my arc with my character because it was like a weird relationship that Kelvin had with his Satanist best friend Keith, and then that became a romantic relationship. And I think Danny said he just saw how close Tony and I actually became, and he was like, "I think we could make this happen." So, yeah, it was quite the journey. I don't know if that's what I expected, but I think people were really excited when they saw the finale.
Just remembering now, after we already started, that I wanted to introduce you as the top Christ following man. What
Thank
an
you.
absurdly specific and odd kind of title. But it was fun to see because I feel like we have a lot of, reality competition parodies in TV. And this didn't feel, for a show that's so over the top, that part didn't feel so over the top for what Kelvin was doing. Everyone else seemed to be going a little bit more into it.
Yeah, it seemed like it was nice because Kelvin was always sort of in the back. Jesse, Danny's character, got to be, he's the oldest, so he's sort of got to step into Eli's shoes. And my character was always just on the periphery with the you do running the children's youth ministry and like trying to be great at jumping on trampolines for the kids, and so this was, I think, his time, his moment in the sun, in the spotlight.
I also would argue that he's like the most authentic believer of the three siblings. Do you feel like that's true?
Yeah, maybe. I think they all truly believe. uh Now morally they're horrific people, and I think maybe Kelvin morally might be the best, but also he can be a real shithead too. So this family, they're absolutely spoiled rotten by money and greed, but I do think that they truly believe in their heart of hearts.
Well, with that lovely description, what do you feel you relate to most about your character?
The hair and the style, his style choices. That's I'm like, ooh, I should nab this piece for the red carpet. Um, I feel what I relate to most about Kelvin would just be his his sense of love of his family. I think no matter what his family could say to him or do to him, he still loves them. And I like what I love so much about it, specifically the sibling dynamic, was you can't talk to other people the way you can to your siblings. You could say the craziest thing in the world to your sibling and it just rolls right off their back, and they could say the craziest thing to you. But if you were to talk that way to other people, you would not see them again. They'd go, "Goodbye. We've been best friends for 15 years, but you're dead to me now, the way you just spoke to me." But if you speak to your sibling like that, they're like, "All right, see you at Thanksgiving." And I feel like I could definitely relate to that dynamic.
Who do you feel you didn't get enough time to work with on the show, even over the course of 4 seasons?
I never really had any real scenes with BJ. I feel like I got some scenes with some of the other characters. I feel like, but me and BJ, I think Kelvin and BJ having some scenes together, I think would have been pretty fun. They're just drinking large glasses of whole milk together, just being wholesome.
Well, what would you say was maybe it's just not just one, the most outlandish thing that you had to do for this show that is likely not something you'll repeat in your career?
Oh man. I mean, I lifted like a 2,000 pound cross through the power of God on like season 2, I think. Um, I saved Keith, Tony Cavallero's character in season 1 in a pit of a vat of goo where he was turning into the baby, and then I pulled him out and his dick was hanging out of his latex costume. So I feel like I won't probably do those things. And to be honest, I don't know if I'm going to be top prize following man again. I think once you have that honor, you can't get it twice.
Who are the fans of this show that you've encountered in real life? Do you find that they're religious, they're Danny McBride comedy fans, or just
Yeah,
who
they're both. I
knows?
think I have family members that are more religious than I am, and they have like loved the show because I think no one likes hypocrisy, and I think that's what we're satirizing, the hypocrisy of these preachers who are prosperity preachers that preach like you deserve the private jets and you deserve all this stuff. And I think people can relate to that and of us making fun of that. I also weirdly I was at a music festival last weekend, Bottle Rock in San Francisco, and Gavin Rosdale from Bush came up to me and he was like, "I'm such a huge fan, mate," talking to me all sexy like, and I'm like grabbing my wife like, "Oh my God, it's Gavin Rosdale." He apparently auditioned for the show to be Judy's boyfriend, and I don't know, maybe I'm speaking out of turn and I shouldn't say that, but he apparently auditioned, and I'm like, well, that would have been a different character because you are 6'5" and dare I say, still stunning, Gavin Rosdale.
I'd also be curious I imagine there are people who aren't so fond of this show, and I would hope they don't, seek you out and tell you that. But I'd love to, see what the Gemstone siblings would actually respond to someone who, gave them crap about what they were doing.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't want to say something, especially to Judy. That woman will tear you to shreds.
Do you feel that this project fits in? Like a lot of people know you from Modern Family, from Pitch Perfect, from other stuff. Do you feel like, they have a different image of you from this role as a result now, or it all sort of fits together?
I think it makes sense with I don't think people were too taken aback by me in this character. I think it all made sense. I think people were pretty excited for me to make that turn, and I also think Kelvin actually got to have some like pretty emotional scenes throughout the series, and I got to have some depth that in a lot of my other characters, I'm just the funny guy or a ball of energy or just the a, a, a boyfriend or um and this character I really in obviously I got to do big funny set pieces, but I also got to get pretty deep, which was fun for me.
What has being a series regular on a show for 4 seasons taught you about working in this industry?
I've this was the only show that I've been a series regular on besides Workaholics. And Workaholics, I was the creator. And so it really taught me uh, about trusting and trusting. And I felt so comfortable I didn't want to go into TV right after we ended Workaholics. I was like, I want to take a break. I want to find some other things to do, go do more stand up or whatever. And and then when Danny called, I was like, if there's anyone I could trust to know my voice and to write for me and to crush it, it's Danny McBride. And I was 100% right because I mean, I think that guy's a genius.
What's next for you?
I have a few movies that I'm kicking around that I hope will go later this year, but nothing that I can speak of quite yet. You're not getting
Do
the
you have a
inside
desire
scoop
to
from that
to
yet.
stay on? Sorry, say it again.
So you're not getting the inside scoop from me, Abe. Not yet.
Do you have a desire to come back to TV, or you feel like you need a little bit of a break after this?
No, I love it. I like coming back to a character and growing with a character and all, even beyond just the acting side of it. I like making friends on the cast and the crew and then staying with those people for a while. And also just seeing where like movies, comedy movies especially, are, they sort of don't really even exist anymore. It has to be it's comedy but also horror, mostly horror, or it's comedy but also it's an action movie, mostly action. Um so I think comedy is really living on TV right now and I that's what I love to do. So I'm sure I'll find something soon.
What are you watching? What have you seen recently on TV that's sticking with you as great
You
and
know, I
memorable?
just watched the other day. If my friend Blake Anderson told me to watch it, and he's like, "I want to know what you think." Adults on FX. Uh, it was great. It was such a breath of fresh air. I don't know any of those actors. It was like this is what TV used to be, where you introduce a bunch of young actors that you don't know, and then you fall in love with them through the series, and that's what it used to be. And now it always has to be, you know, a centerpiece character, which is nice as well. But it felt for me like when we did Workaholics, and it just sort of it felt real and natural. And I thought it was a very very funny show, well written and well acted, well produced.
Great choice, absolutely. I thank you very much for your time, Adam. I'm looking forward to discovering the things you cannot tell me and seeing what's next for you. And for now, I appreciate this review of an iconic character I will not soon forget.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Abe. Thanks for taking the time.